What's going on, Workforce? Brian here for Work2Game, and today we're talking about Scholar. So we're going to be presenting this like we're presenting our other guides for Stormblood, breaking them out into many different videos. That way, ideally, you're getting the focus and the content that you're specifically looking for. And with that, let's just go ahead and do this thing. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Scholar Controller Layout Guide. My name's Brian from Work2Game. We're going to go over my layout, my hotbar layouts, and hopefully help give you some ideas of how you might want to set up your Scholar. Now this is hopefully just for recommendation. Feel free to set yourself up any which way you want. At the end of the day, it's about muscle memory and it's about knowing where your abilities are. So if I can help inspire you or bring some insight to that, that is the goal of this guide. Like with any of my guides, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below and we can have that discussion. Hopefully you're able to get something good out of this, but let's go ahead and just dive right in. From a UI layout perspective, I've got my Aetherflow gauge right here and I've got my Fairy gauge right here. If we bring up our target gauge, you can see that it exists and is lined up right below that. So from this perspective, I've got all that I need within here. My party list is over here, just like with any of my healers, and my enemy list is going to be right here. You can see and manage any of this from your HUD layout, and you can see all the various pieces. So focus, target, enemy list, status effects, my double cross hotbar left and right, cross hotbar, parameter bar, and my hotbar 3. One of the questions that we get a lot is that how do I access this bar? And this is just to help communicate various cooldowns to me. All of these abilities are long cooldown abilities and I want to make sure that I'm using them when they're up. But let's go ahead and get started from left to right. The first 4 abilities you see here are specific to the fairy that I have out. This is to communicate the fairy's various abilities on cooldown. If I switch to Selene, you can see that they're immediately replaced by Selene's abilities. And apparently she wants to fly right in front of you. I do this because I use a macro. If I look at the various macro that I have for Selene, you can see that I'm updating my hotbar with those different abilities. I have a specific guide on these summons and I'll be sure to include the link in the description below, but here they are for your knowledge. Putting in a weight 7 and a pack obey means that every time I summon the pet, they're going to be in obey mode. So that way, in case I forget, I can still have full control over my pet. In the center, I have Aetherflow. Aetherflow is hugely important to all mechanics, and while I have access to it in my cross hotbar, I want to make sure that I'm always aware of when it's off cooldown. Aether Pact follows it next, Chain Strategem, I'm just going to call this Exo, and then finally Rouse. These are my abilities that are off of cooldown and I want to make sure that I can easily see them and pay attention to them when needed. You can always feel free to put any abilities that you want in this hotbar, but it's just up to you. That's what I find important and that's what I'm going to share. On my left double cross hotbar, which you can get to by double tapping your left trigger, I've got Sacred Soil, Dispensation, Stay, and Energy Drain. Now while I can get to my pet hotbar by just pressing the right bumper, I like to have access to these abilities when necessary. In its opposite side, I have Heal. So I can have them stay where they are and I can have them heal. On the left trigger, starting from this position, I've got Bane, Indomitability, Deployment Tactics, and Shadow Flare. And you can see that Shadow Flare and Sacred Soil are macroed. What that actually looks like is you can see that it's the ability with the T. This means it's going to be placed at the foot of the target that I'm looking at rather than have it manually placed. As a controller player, this is game changing for ground target abilities, so I'd highly recommend shifting those into macro form. Then I have Broil 2, which this is actually Broil, which gets upgraded quite easily, Miasma, Bio 2, and Ruin 2. So if I need to move, I can easily press the A button to fire off quick one-shots of 100 potency, but if I can stay still, I can press the X button and thus hit him a little bit harder. Bio 2 is also Instacast, which is a huge and great change in Stormblood, but Miasma is not. So just keep that in mind. You have non-Instacast and Instacast within easily reach of each other. On the right trigger, I have Emergency Tactics, we're just going to call it Legarzi, Sucker, and Insuna, followed by Whispering Dawn, and this in and of itself is that pet ability which gets updated to the correct pet that I'm using, Lustrate, Eloquium, and Physic. You can easily see that Legarzi and Insuna are cross-roll abilities, so you can replace these with any of your cross-roll abilities that you choose. On the right cross hotbar, I've got Aetherflow, Heal, Lucid Dreaming, and Rouse. Again, Rouse and Whispering Dawn are great abilities to pair with each other because Rouse is going to make this 40% better. Another reason I have Aetherflow right here is because if you've seen my Summoner guide, you'll know that they're in the same spot. So regardless of Summoner or Scholar, muscle memory is an easier focus of my playtime. It's huge and important. If you're having to look around for an ability and you don't know where it is, that's going to be time that you could be spending doing something else. And if you're looking for something, chances are you're going to get frustrated. So try to make things easy on yourself and put things that function similarly in the same spot. So you can see Physic and Eloquium both are macros. So let's take a look at those. Now these are new macros that I wasn't using in Heavensward, but I have been using in Stormblood. You can replace the T for Embrace to MO if you want to use mouse over targeting, like if you're on the PlayStation and you want to take that extra time, or you can even add extra lines. This is ordering my fairy to cast Embrace on my target that I'm also casting Physic on. Same thing for Eloquium, Embrace and Eloquium. So that way you constantly have the extra cures going out. Typically your fairy will act around 80% of a target's HP, but even if they're not at 80%, you can still get extra cures out there on them, especially if you're putting a shield out. You can use this however you want. You don't have to use this whatsoever. Again, T can be replaced with mouse over or some other targeting macro, or you can keep listing these so they go in an order of preference to you. Feel free to use these at your leisure or at discretion. Macros tend to be a little bit slower because these are commands that have to be evaluated. Most likely, especially if you have a lower ping, you're not going to feel it as much, but if you have a higher ping, you might run into some issues. So consider yourself warned. For me, it works out really well. Now I also use the extended cross hotbar, and this is where I have Protect, my 2 summon abilities, my Exo ability, my Resurrection, Aether Pact, Swift Cast, and Chain Strategem. You can see that since I don't typically see a lot of these abilities, that's why it's real important that they're on that top hotbar. Now I set mine to hotbar 2, and you can see that this is the exact thing. So whenever you pull it up, that's exactly what gets pulled up. So we just went over it. Protect, my 2 summon macros that help update my abilities, Resurrection, Chain Strategem, Swift Cast, and Aether Pact. This always gives me access to those abilities whenever I'm on the move and whenever I need them. But again, you can always lay these out however you need. On the other side of it, I have my always shared abilities. Sprint, my book, my limit break. No matter what job I'm on, these are always the same. You can manage all of this, and I do have a specific guide that focuses on all that. But just as a quick reminder, under your character configuration, hotbar, custom settings, this is where you set your expanded hotbar controls and your W cross hotbar controls to which hotbar those are applied to. Hopefully that's been refreshing and a reminder, and hopefully this guide has been a help. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we really hope to see you in our next. This has been Brian for Work to Game. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns in the comments below, and let's have that discussion. But in the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope this has been a help. And until next time, take care. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to check out any other videos, you should click over here. And then we've got like some kind of vlog thing down here in the corner. And then we've got like subscribe. Yeah, like that's really, you should totally do it. This was a complete disaster.